And now it's slow as fuck. All right, we're live. Wow. This Life in Tech, episode 28. I'm not happy, and my name's Jason.
I've got crackers in my mouth, and I'm damn.
Dude, this is our first podcast coming from Hangout to YouTube Live, and let me tell you, whoever made this decision, you're a fucking idiot. A giant fucking idiot. This has to be one of the most convoluted transitions that makes no goddamn sense because we end up launching Hangouts anyway. So why didn't you just leave that front end, which, I mean, not only did we know because we've used it almost 30 times, but it's way more user-friendly. Dude, this YouTube live streaming platform is a piece of shit. Fuck you. If this is the way we're going to go, I'm telling you right now, I'll switch to OBS for my encoder because this Wirecast bullshit is horrible. You're going to force me to go to a place to download something that has a cross-site script vulnerability on the download page? Fuck you. OBS is free. And we'll go to Twitch. I'm not putting up with this shit, dude. I can't take 20 minutes to figure out how to start a goddamn video podcast.
Well, you know, and a lot of people are using Twitch anyway. Twitch winds up getting us the capability of having this streaming through iTunes, right?
Well, we can do a lot of different things. I mean, the fact of the matter is if I have to encode the video on my side, which we don't with Hangouts, that was always the cool thing with it, right? I'll use OBS so I can control like my own chroma keying and green screening and everything, man. And I'll go to a platform that supports it instead of all this YouTube bullshit. I just don't understand the reason why, especially if you're going to leave Hangout in the background, because we're in a Hangout right now. This is a Hangout on air that I figured out how to enable the option to call, because otherwise, if you just do a YouTube stream, I couldn't figure out how to add anybody. It's like, oh Jesus Christ, dude!
Wow.
It just makes no sense. It makes no sense. I mean, I don't know. Was YouTube not getting enough content? Well, maybe they should stop fucking the people that create the content on their platform.
They weren't getting enough love. They were like, look, I mean, they were probably explaining to them that, look, we're now alphabet, and Y is last, basically, in the alphabet. So your priorities always come up under the letter Y. So
then I read this shit the other day. We'll switch to our real topic, which is the Yahoo hack. I read this shit the other day, man, that now if you flag videos for like copyright violation or content violation, right, they're going to bonus you. So they're creating an army of people to go around and flag videos.
Oh,
like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think?
I'm going to start flagging videos that have nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Like just from organizations I don't like. Like,
right.
You know, maybe a previous employer.
You know what's interesting, by the way, speaking of that, man, one of them followed me on Twitter the other day, and I can't figure out why. Like, after all this time, why?
Oh, because he just joined.
No, this is somebody that was there that you made fun of for buying followers.
Oh, he's no longer there.
That's not what his account says.
Yeah, but he's not.
We're talking about...
Yes. The individual that had the conversation with you when you were exiting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It was recent.
Wow.
What's even weirder is when a couple of them, because I've gone to CoolSpan, an individual, when I retweeted and liked or favorited the announcement, that person retweeted my retweet. I favorited it. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, but, I don't know, man. I don't know. So I don't know that I'm done with my YouTube rant because I'm still pretty fucking pissed.
Well, while you're doing that, we'll go to a different why.
Yeah. Let's talk about this.
Now, this I gotta call out the first part in this aspect because the timeline that it happened, and I'm a little concerned that Yahoo knew about this. They didn't tell anyone, and aren't they operating in California?
I don't know where they're based. They might be, man. Let's look it up.
Well, it's not necessarily where they're based. It's if they're operating in any way, shape, or form in California. They have to tell the public, based on the California law, whatever, they were breached.
Well, the California law, there's actually some loopholes in it.
Are there?
Yeah. interestingly
All right.
enough.
Well,
Because
but here's
a breach notification is mandated. Like one of the loopholes we used to play with is unless you're encrypting your data, or if you've done due diligence with protecting the data at rest,
okay.
then you don't have the same notification. In a broad sense, I do agree, though. In a broad sense, there is a precedence for mandatory notification of breach.
Now, here's where I was going to go with my rant. Now, this is based on some very rudimentary research, so I might be off a little bit, but I haven't been able to find any data that says I'm wrong.
Okay.
So, do you know who this was at Yahoo in 2014 through 2015?
No.
Alex Stamos.
Okay, that sounds right.
He is also now the CISO at Facebook. Now, here's my rant, because the other day, maybe several weeks ago, he said, if you have a security organization that is less than, I think he said 50 people, maybe it may have been 20, someone could fact check, but let's go with 50. Then his response to that is, if you have less than 50 people, then your entire enterprise needs to be running on Chromebooks. And I replied to this tweet saying, you are absolutely insane and you're out of touch with industry, because no one in the Fortune 500 outside of Google is really going to do that, because business applications do not run on Chrome OS unless they are web enabled. Most aren't.
Right.
So,
so this is what I find interesting about that, man. When I first started in technology, our operating model was to use, I don't know if you remember Wise terminals, the little dumb terminals. I mean, it's a Linux kernel, right? It's stripped down, it's embedded, and it would boot using a configuration file. And you could do this over like Pixie and shit too, right into a Citrix metaframe farm, which essentially was, 21st century mainframe computing. I mean, It's not that different, right? I mean, so this idea of going back to essentially what is a dumb terminal to connect where to do what? I mean, is everything going to get processed in AWS or fuck Azure? I mean,
or Google's cloud environment, right? In any of these cases, but I guess my rant in this particular piece was that he had a major breach occur. Mel, maybe that's the reason why he left Yahoo. I don't know the reason why. But I'm just going, he left. There was a major breach that occurred. And I'm sure they're not using Chrome OS over at Yahoo. They're certainly not using that over at Facebook. Maybe he's got more than 50 people, which is why he says that. But it's not realistic for a business, any business, to run on Chrome OS as their main operating system. And here's another thing, and the reason as to why. So, organization I'm doing some work with, it's in the financial industry. The Federal Reserve is mandating that they go to TLS 1.2. Great, except that the algorithm that they're mandating them to use does not support perfect forward secrecy.
Yeah.
I have no choice. Right? I had to move at the time they said to move. And the Federal Reserve mandates which algorithm. I get zero choice in this matter.
Well, yeah. The other thing too I understand I think I understand the impetus behind that statement, right? And I'm not saying it's not realistic in some cases. But at the same time, I mean, it's ignorant of how people work. I mean, it's the 21st century. I don't know what your experience is, but mine is, I can't guarantee at any one time I'm going to have connectivity. So if you give me a computing device that can't compute because it can't run the apps that I need to be productive, and you can't guarantee me 100% uptime and connectivity to the environment where my processing takes place, who the fuck is going to do that?
Right. Well, here's the real issue, and I've seen this with many technologists, and a lot of times CISOs. They start focusing on a vendor, a particular product, rather than the strategy. Now, if I were going to interpret what Alex was really talking about in this particular case, I would have said that the strategy is to have a computing device for my end users that has as small of an overall attack surface as I possibly can provide them, at the same time that allows them to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is Chromebook. Maybe it's something else. But you don't go off and start trying to take a technology, a vendor, and mash that into your enterprise and say that's what we're going to use, because your end user community is going to revolt. They're going to go like this to you, and they're going to go use whatever they want.
Well, it's completely backwards, man. Like you said, it's completely backwards. Instead of looking at what the business initiatives are and coming up with solutions to that, and then indicators to measure the performance of those solutions. This is, hey, I like this thing, and this is what we should use. But you have no idea if it can even work. I mean,
exactly. And so now, swinging this back to Yahoo, it seems like they were doing a lot of very good things here, from what I've read. The passwords were encrypted, and they were using the bcrypt algorithm for salting. So kudos, great. You're putting in some good delays, and you're using some modern algorithms. So a lot of those things probably have been secured in as best way they possibly could. I don't know overall where the overall failures were, but this data is old data. Yahoo's made significant changes to how authentication and authorization occurs. Like for me, anytime I get a new device, I've got it set up to where the Yahoo app on my phone says, you're about ready to log into a device that you've never logged into before. And this is where it's coming from. Here's the IP address. Do you authorize this? And I can either click yes or no. That's that's multi-factor. I have now authorized this to occur. So, okay, this happened 12 to 18 months ago, however long. They've made some significant improvements to how they operate. I'm actually, I don't use Yahoo very much. I use it for my junk mail account, and because my dad plays fantasy football, and so I'm in those leagues, and so I use my Yahoo account for fantasy football. But still, whenever I log in from a new location, I have to authorize it from the mobile app on my phone.
Well, this is one of the problems I have too, man. And my problem is more with how the media reports these things. So this is reported as a data breach. But I mean, what was really compromised? I mean, what really was exfiltrated? No different than like Dropbox, right? Dropbox got whacked pretty big. And who knows how long ago. I mean, the email I got as a Dropbox user before the news broke wasn't really a breach notification. It was more like, hey, it's just time to reset password, so here's your reminder, right? It didn't mention anything about a compromise at all. But even in that case, what really was taken? I mean, what was exfiltrated?
From what I read in the Yahoo one, was really exfiltrated was your security questions, which would allow me to possibly reset your password.
Sure.
But that's just, again, briefly looked at it, did a quick search, and it looks like to me what was really grabbed, even though they got all these encrypted passwords, so it's a matter of time to break. But your security questions, I don't think those were encrypted. That's kind of what I was reading. Anyone
yeah, that's my understanding too.
That's kind of what I was reading.
Yeah, my understanding is and I've never had a Yahoo account, so I have no idea, but the standard is to have like 3 Q&A, right? Maybe a set of 5, and they randomize 3 out of the 5 that they ask it, whatever, right? My understanding was those were not protected, which, okay. I mean, I don't know that upsets me. I don't know that well, here's the thing I would ask from a design standpoint. If you're already protecting other data elements, let's say other fields in the table, then why wouldn't you protect those? That's what I don't understand. It's not like operationally it's more overhead.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think, again, the other measures that Yahoo's put in place, if you enabled them, you're protected.
Well, the other thing too, man, and this is like the idea that, Dropbox, Yahoo, there was another big one recently, wasn't there? I can't remember what I'm thinking of. But anyway, man, at what point we're going to be like, hey, maybe this username password shit just ain't working, right? I mean, maybe this isn't the best way to go about figuring out who should have access to what when. Maybe there's a better way.
Next year, when Eric Cole puts out his 2017 predictions, he might be right one of these times when he says this is finally the year we go to two-factor authentication.
Well, so looking forward, man, is two-factor really the answer to this problem?
Is it the answer? I don't know necessarily that it's the answer. It's a better solution than what we're currently doing today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the majority of people in the world that are have any type of technology, I mean, I'll even say even third world countries, most of them have smartphones at this point.
Yep.
Because it's even cheaper to get broadband internet for your phone than it is in some countries, to have, fiber and hard wire into the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why aren't we using those devices more as another factor of authentication and authorization? Google has it now. I've got it even with, a Microsoft account. I've got it with a Yahoo account. My bank that I bank at whenever I do it, whenever I log in from a PC, it notifies me through my banking app, and I have to authorize it. So a lot more things are being put into place. So I don't know if that's the answer, but it's certainly better than us just having passwords that are left in some database.
Yeah, well, it just seems like we can't shake them. And I just continually year after year wonder why we can't shake at least as a foundation, the concept of a password. Well, and look, here's my prediction, and I'll make it now for the next 2 years. What you're going to see is a selective pressure for these organizations that breach for password harvesting, moving towards, I don't know how else to describe it except to say cloning. Right? If I have a device, in this case a smartphone, like you're describing, that serves as at least one piece in this array of multi-factor tokenizations, well, I mean, would it shock anybody to realize there's a market force? I mean, looking at those as businesses themselves, that there's a market selective pressure for those organizations to sort of figuring out ways to clone that off the phone. And I don't mean clone the phone, right? I'm not talking about Dolly the sheep clone, right? You get what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah. I'm sure there will be. But if we have to consistently raise the bar, the bad guys, it's always a cat and mouse game. So the bad actors out there will raise their game. But at what point does it become cost prohibitive for the malicious actor to stop and go to do something different? I mean, it's like, the cartoon you see out there where, hey, I've got a 36 character password, you'll never get in. And I come out with a baseball bat and say, give me your fucking password.
Right. Well, I mean, just think about our lifetime, man, with passwords. When DES and triple DES were the hot shit, the concept was all based around processing power. And, only nation states would be able to put together a computer that could crack that in a reasonable amount of time. And I mean, is it even 10 years later I can have a CUDA system that can just tromp that in hours? I mean, and it's not that expensive. It's really not. If you break it down, it's not that expensive.
You have to hold on. Someone's actually at my door.
What the fuck? Why are you scheduling deliveries for podcast time, man? This guy. I don't know what he's doing.
Normally come to my door. It was pretty funny. Not even for me. It's for my temporary roommate.
Oh, Jesus. Is he there yet?
Oh yes. He's been here since last Tuesday.
Well, where the fuck is he right now?
He's my indentured servant. He's out there doing the job he needs to be doing.
Oh, he's at work.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys have fun watching fucking Disney movies at night together?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway,
So,
man.
so
Go
there's a
ahead.
funny part about that because we won't mention his name for a while. Um, we have multiple buildings where we're doing some work,
Yeah.
and one of them is it's I don't know, probably 200 yards from one entrance to the next. So I schedule all meetings in the other building, and I've instructed everyone else in the organization to also do the same thing if he's included. So he's going to get his 10,000 steps in
Oh, Jesus, man.
one way or another. He's maybe hating me for it, but
Well, yeah, that's just lashing out, man.
that's all right.
He'll get over it.
Yeah. So anyway, that was for the roommate. He may or may not actually receive it. I haven't decided.
Well, you got to open it first and figure out what it is, right?
It's a book. So if it's
Well,
a good
it's a
book, I
book,
might
but
keep
what?
it.
I mean, yeah, I can guess it's a book from the fucking box, man. But what
Yeah.
book?
Yeah,
I mean, there are
exactly.
different qualities of books.
If it's a book that I'm interested in, he may never receive it.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, getting back to Yahoo, you could still do everything right, and all it takes is one weak link, one mess up, and you're on the front page of CNN.
Well, and do you really think this is going to hurt Yahoo?
No, not. I mean, what it could potentially do is have maybe that Verizon's asking price, maybe that goes down a little bit. But how much, if at all? I don't know. I don't think it does. I mean, I'm sure Verizon had to have known. Verizon
Right.
has been basically white labeling Yahoo's email services for FiOS users for a while now.
Right.
So I'm sure they knew about this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially with that deal, I'd have to imagine, man, that came up in a meeting. Like, hey, dude, just so you know.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah. Just so you know. No, man, I mean, come on. I don't think it harms them. I don't think it harms them at all. The vast majority of people are tech ignorant, and that's fine, right? Because they're not tech workers. I'm not saying something denigrating about them. But I think generally speaking, people have gotten to a point where they understand that this is common, man. I mean, it's more common than a car accident, and nobody gives a shit about car accidents. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like the world's going to end because there was a car accident. The internet isn't going to crumble because some company got breached and passwords were harvested.
Well, look at Target. It affected them for a quarter.
Right.
Now their stock, at least the one last time I checked, was trading higher than what it was before the breach.
Sure. Well, because look, who cares? It's no different than credit card skims.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. It happens frequently, man. I mean, at least once a year.
Yeah, sure.
I just automatically get a letter and it tells me within a couple of weeks I'll have a new card and none of the charges I have to eat. I mean, and that's something else that's changed. When online transactions really started coming out, do you remember what it was like to have to deal with a bank and figure out what charges were real, which ones needed to be reversed, what you were going to pay versus what the bank was going to reverse? And now it's like, dude, whatever, man.
Yeah, they just write it off.
Yeah, it's just the cost of 21st century internet online life.
So this particular individual says the package is medical. Should we open it up and determine if it meets our medical requirements? I didn't realize Amazon served medical stuff.
Well, actually, you can buy a lot of stuff. You can buy a lot of stuff off Amazon, but medical, that's a book, man. That looks like a book to me.
Yeah, I don't. He's been known to tell some falsifications recently.
Yeah, I can sense that. Maybe we should unbox it on air and see what's in there.
Unbox it. I have to figure out how to remove his name off of it first. He doesn't want to be identified online at this point.
Jesus Christ, man. Oh, nobody wants to be famous.
He wants to what?
Nobody wants to be famous.
Oh, well, he's fine with that aspect. It's just for,
Yeah, I get
at least the next several months.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Oh, Jesus, man. So the Yahoo breach, it's like, okay.
It's in the grand scheme of things, I think it's small. It's being blown out of proportion. I'm sure they weren't using Chrome OS, and there's a reason why it's not a viable enterprise platform. Period.
Yeah.
And I think from a lot of what we at least know, Yahoo did a lot of right things. You can't be perfect 100% of the time.
No,
it's not going to be. It's not possible.
No, I mean, you said it best, man. You can do everything right, and something that's completely out of your control and that's just I think that's a general life comment. You can do everything right, and something out of your control happens, and that's it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I tell people, when you're on the offensive side, you can be right one time out of a billion, and you're famous.
Mm-hmm.
On the defensive side, you could be wrong one time out of a billion, and you're out of a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everyone always focuses on the one thing you did wrong,
Sure.
not the other 999,999,999 times.
Right.
One time.
Right. Well, and more so, I mean, well, yeah, and it cannot even be your personal mistake.
Yep. Very true. So, I think I got nothing else to say about Yahoo.
Nah, man. I think that's it. It's kind of it's an interesting story. I don't know how much of a news issue it is as a breach. You know what I mean?
I plan on not talking about it anymore after basically we kill this session, because I really only wanted to talk about it because, Alex talked about how great, you need to put Google Chrome OS on everything. And here we come to find out this is where he was at the time. I'm sure Alex does a lot of things really, really, really well. But when you work for a provider of content, which is Yahoo, Facebook, it doesn't matter what your operating system is. If you're working in real industry, it's overly dominated by Microsoft because things are just not provided on other platforms. At least not something that is good, of quality.
Well, and I don't know what moving to essentially a dumb terminal gives you. I mean, your configuration management's easier.
Maybe. But this is the thing. It doesn't matter if industry moved to Chrome OS, the exploits would just start happening on Chrome OS.
Right. Well, and you still have data somewhere. You still have access to that data somewhere. Right? I mean, it's really ignorant of the business selective pressures that are on adversaries. It's still this childish view of the boogeyman that somehow you can defeat by turning the fucking light on. And oh man, they're fucking businesses too, and they have market pressure. I tried that
with my roommate, turning the light on. It doesn't work. He's still there.
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd be kind of like a cockroach. You turn the light on and scatter away, but it doesn't happen.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Oh, yeah, man. I think that's it for what was this, episode 28? Yeah.
You're the recorder of time.
Jesus, dude. We're all in trouble. We're all in trouble. I spent all week thinking it was Thursday. And then yesterday when it was Thursday, I thought it was Saturday. I have no idea.
Time for another trip to the shaman.
Too much time dilation, bro. All right. Episode 28. That's it, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
Peace.